story has to end. As a nurse, I'm a patient advocate. I care for people. And I have watched in horror as we have isolated patients who are symptomatic with a runny nose or a sore throat, yet testing negative for COVID. Yes, isolating teenagers who are suicidal, yet testing negative. These kids had cold symptoms for 24 to 48 hours, and we isolated them. They tested negative, and they remained in isolation. We isolate kids who have been exposed to COVID. No symptoms, negative COVID tests. I'm told it's the protocol. Whose protocol? Hartford Healthcare is mandating the COVID vaccine for all of its employees. I use the term vaccine loosely. It is not a vaccine. The CDC has changed its definition of vaccine to accommodate this shot. This drug they developed for this virus. This drug that is still in clinical trial. This drug that has not been approved by the FDA. This experimental vaccine is being mandated because of an emergency was declared. Isn't it interesting that the Biden administration is not requiring this vaccine for its staff? Yes! Nor is Pfizer, or Moderna, and many other, including the House of Congress. Yes! I do not want to be part of this experiment. I do not consent. We must stop the madness. We must stop the mandates. But wait, Hartford Healthcare is granting exemptions based on religious beliefs or medical necessity. These exemptions come with a price and a label. These exemptions, those with exemptions, are required to wear a tag noting their status. Much like the yellow star or pink triangle the Nazis required in Germany before they started sending people to concentration camps.
So this group right here is going through absolute hell. Absolute hell. Their hospital system did their due diligence on how they, quote unquote, legally make sure they all got denied. Every single one of these people up here are going to lose their jobs. Want to know the reason why? Undue hardship.
Yeah, okay.
Do you want to know what undue hardship is? Not having these wonderful people at the bedside when you get into a car accident, when you choke on a hot dog, when your family member has a heart attack. Where are they going to be? Home. Because some overpaid puppet is sitting behind a camera telling them what to do. Meanwhile, they're here on the ground fighting, and they have been since day one. So, we are trying our hardest to do everything we can for this group, and especially in Danbury. You're right there at the cross-section of New York City and one of the most densely populated areas in Connecticut. We are going to see some serious ramifications as a result of this group losing their job.
My dignity, what I believe in, I will never force a patient to take something they don't want to take. And guess what? If you are not going to give informed consent to the patient and tell them the risks they are taking, I am not the one giving that shot. I will never give that shot.
I am not afraid to admit that I was scared. We had to open up 3 extra ICUs. We did not know where this thing was coming from or how it was coming from. And so we did need to pace ourselves for a little while. But that time is over. While I was in there, I saw the forced DNRs on patients. If they had COVID and they got intubated, We are not going to resuscitate you. That was the policy of Yale New Haven Hospital because it was too much risk of exposing our staff. I saw that when patients died, the doctor at the bedside could not fill out the death certificate and had to go down to the mortuary to fill it out. But the mortuary couldn't do an autopsy because it was an aerosolation procedure. So it didn't matter what you died of, you died of COVID. When I got my mandate, I had to sign that there were 600,000 deaths from COVID. I had to lie because there have been a lot of deaths from COVID. COVID is bad, but there has not been as many deaths as they've said. And they're using those numbers to say the vaccine is safe and effective. Well, if your numbers are wrong from the beginning, then your numbers are wrong now. And you need to just do your research and be careful. And if you feel like the vaccine, I am all for it. I am not an anti-vaxxer. I've taken my flu shots, I've taken my hepatitis shots, but this sucker's new. And not just new as in it was just released, new as in the technology has not been out for very many years. They've been studying it for 10 years and trying to get this sucker out for a while. And they failed, and they failed, and they failed. And now all of a sudden they've succeeded because of this mandate. Please, stand up for your freedoms. Stand up for your freedom to choose. Thank you very much.
Although we are now requiring vaccines except for exemptions or certain deferrals, if a patient asks about our vaccination status, are we obligated to disclose this to them?
Nope. We don't have to reveal personal health care information to patients.
Are patients allowed to ask that they be taken care of only by fully vaccinated staff? No.
They can ask.
They can ask, yeah.